But before we get into it, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications so that you never miss another video, and live up.
Hi, and welcome to Live Up. I'm Aranza Savas, and today I am going to get to spend time with the beautiful and inspiring Kyia Downing. Kyia calls herself a possibilitarian, and I can't think of a better word to describe this beautiful human. Kyia sees patterns. Kyia sees what's coming, and every minute that I get to spend with Kyia makes me feel more centered, calmer, and better ready for whatever might happen. So I can't think of a better time to hang out with Kyia than today in the midst of so much uncertainty. So Kyia, with that, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. It's beautiful to spend time with you. Always fills my heart. Thank you.
So Kyia, this is a weird time. There's no proxy for this. There's no, none of us know who to be, what to do, what's coming next, how to plan. It feels really unsettling. What are you noticing about this time as a possibilitarian?
Yeah, for starters, when you said in the intro that I see things coming, I didn't see this coming. So I couldn't have said, yep, here we go. I mean, yeah, check, saw it, wrote about it. Yeah, just that deep uncertainty, unsettledness about what is happening and where it's going and what it means for me personally and my loved ones. And yet what I've seen coming in for me is just this sense of, again, for me personally, just a sense of trust and even peace. And at moments, it's actually bordered on relief that now it's here, and that we can name it and we can know it and we can address it, and that there's some sort of mechanism at place that is changing the world that we knew that wasn't working for a whole lot of people into maybe something. My belief and my hope is that it's changing that world into something that's going to work better and feel better for all of us, or most of us, and not without cost and not without heartache and pain.
I love that you bring up loss and pain as a part of change. Can you tell me more about why loss and pain are integral to growth and change?
Well, the only way to have something new come in is to create space for it, which requires a letting go or a losing or a takeaway. When we're full, whether it's full of everything that we want, whether we're whole or not, but when we're full, there's just no room to change. So to me, I guess the catalyst for change is often loss. And in the absence of the job, of the beloved, of the income, the whatever it is, something new must emerge. We're such creatures of comfort and creatures of habit that in the absence of that, we're not often highly motivated to make changes, even though we deeply know that we need them. So I think it's a beautiful way that the world and existence works, is to forcibly remove things from our life so that we will be forced to recalibrate and
I find that so
something anew.
When you say that, when you say loss and change are creating space, or loss and all the things that we're giving up are creating the space for change and newness, that to me is a very comforting image. I also love this idea that it's because of habit. That's really interesting. That it's like we're going to keep doing what we've always done otherwise.
we are habitual creatures, and sometimes often to our detriment, actually. And that's why a disruption in our routine and our rhythm and our rituals and our thinking can be so opportunistic. It can be of such benefit because it forces us to be intentional and to really think about what we're just shocked into a new state. And this is that sort of that moment, which I feel like many people are at this moment, is, do I go down or do I rise up? Do I live up?
Yes.
Right? And who's going to win? Like, is it my brain that is telling me a bunch of stories about how things are going to be and how I'm not capable, or how this has happened before and it's been bad and now it's going to be worse? And like, does your brain get involved and send you into that spiral?
It's such a smart concept too, like this choice between, do I take this change and let it drag me down, or do I take this change and sort of this moment of choice and let it bring me up? And I think to go up, for me anyway, it's about seeing the opportunity and the moment. Like, it's very easy. I'm home with my mother, my 2 children, my husband, my dog. Everything is weird right now. Everything is different. So is that something that it's like, ugh, we're all living on top of each other, I have no space to myself, like all the things I'm giving up? Or is it, oh, we're making more things together, we're playing together more, we're getting to watch amazing live stream art together as a family for free?
Totally.
Do I get to wear even more comfortable shoes every day while I work from home? Like, all these little opportunities. And so I'm curious, again, sort of as a possibilitarian, what do you see as the opportunities of a moment like this?
You use the word opportunities, and I always think of them as gifts. Like, what are the gifts that are right around me, right in front of me? How does this thing that seems like a freaking bummer, that seems like a wound, that feels like like a massive disruption, and what is in that,
like that, things happening to us,
right? Versus like, how do I take my attention, my awareness, my presence, and forcibly or willfully point it toward the gift and see the gift? Because what we give our attention to is what magnifies, right? So if we're giving our attention to the bank balance, or to the screaming, or to the mess, we're missing the gifts that are just right woven in amongst those things. So I really think it's a choice point. We do have that power. We just so often allow ourselves to just be sort of pulled along in our again, habitual patterned responses and thinking. And honestly, we're surrounded, we're contagious creatures too. So we're very influenced by other people's energy and moods and sort of how people around us are viewing things. So we're susceptible to that. And I think being really mindful at this time of what we're surrounding ourselves in, and what kind of influences we're taking in. Obviously your family is around you, and you've already shaped them immensely, but your presence is going to shape them too. And so it's like how we each are, creating our own positive contagion at this time. And there's a lot of power that, the energy really is.
Our own positive contagion, girl, yes.
Yeah. I mean, we have this impulse, and I think culturally imposed, to do. Like, now I've got a little bit of extra time because I'm not commuting, or I'm not, the meetings are slowing down, or I don't have any clients, or whatever it is. Like, we're programmed to want to fill that with productive activities. But I actually think the assignment, particularly in this really early moment, is to just really be, and to really be present, and to really be aware, self-aware, aware of the people around you, and just try to be in a state of present awareness that wasn't possible for you a week ago, or certainly a month ago. I don't know, I think that's the call. And then seeing what comes in, so that you're giving the gift of space, time to open up, time to unfold.
That's really interesting. I mean, my reaction to any space is to fill it with productivity, right? And and distraction. I mean, I have to admit, like, part of the reason it's been really fun to work really hard the last couple of weeks is because I don't have time to worry about things right now. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the distraction. I'm grateful for being able to do something that feels meaningful and valuable and productive. And I'm trying to get my head around what you're saying, that like, if we let ourselves be in the present moment, then it lets the truly new unfold. Instead of, when we were talking about habit, I thought about the fact that in times of intensity, our habits intensify as well. So if I tend to escape, right, then in a time of intensity, we're going to escape hard. Like, we go hard on whatever those are, and they just become more ingrained. And so I think what you're saying is, let's pay attention to those tendencies and see if we allow ourselves to slow down. Actually, I don't even know what that looks like.
Living up isn't like ramping up, dialing up. Sometimes it means getting to a higher elevation so that you can see, so that you have that look at yourself. You're able to come to a different level, so you can look at Aransas, look at busy little Aransas, look at her running here, look at her running there, look at her, zoning out on that and getting excited about that. Like, it may be all fine, but bringing yourself to a higher elevation so you are able to see on and into the life that you're creating, and just even become that observing presence. I think that has value, because when we're in it, when we're at that level of life, even before we've gone down, we're just not bringing a lot of awareness to what we're doing. We're just doing. And the being challenge, I think, is to elevate our perspective on the situation at hand, like like what's going on in the world, and try to see it from a different lens, and not, again, like be worried about the empty shelves and the toilet paper, and like all that's real, but pull up, like lift up.
At the end of the day, I mean, I think if I try to summarize what I'm hearing from this conversation, there is this idea that to live up, we must first go up and take this broader view of ourselves from a higher elevation, to, instead of looking at sort of the micro moments, the little things in our lives, to look at our whole, at our bodies, our mindset, our everything, and take this big, broad view of it and see what jumps out at us. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's to be able to say, oh, look at what Aransas is doing now, to like step above and outside of Aransas, and to like really get curious about ourselves, and to be able to see our behavior patterns and our habits and our thoughts and our actions in a really non-judgmental way, but to observe ourselves in a way that is, again, just sort of dispassionate, curious, and watch ourselves and see what we do, and then say, oh, if Aransas were or Kyia, whoever it is, were my friend, I'd be like, girlfriend, what are you doing? Lovingly. And so I think without that awareness, without bringing that awareness to ourselves, and which I do think requires a little bit of separation, I think then we're just at the mercy of those patterns and habits.
Well, and if we go all the way around to the beginning, right, we're at the mercy of the habits, right? And so, like, I guess that's what brings this all together, is that we are in a moment that is disrupted. Things are changing. Everything is different, and everything is uncertain, and that's really uncomfortable because it's different.
Right. Right. The people, I mean, I really am feeling for the extroverts right now whose life and happiness depends on their,
The extroverts appreciate.
yes, yes. Well, I'm borderline, but it's really easy for me to just go all I during times like this. It's just like, yeah, I can do it. You know, give me a few of these little moments. Virtual is fine. I can handle it. But right. And so it's like, how do you get your needs met when the old ways of meeting them aren't available to you now? I think each of us need to sort of look at that, but notice the needs, notice the needs and where they're coming from and what you're really trying to feed. What are you really hungry for? I think we've used to talk about that for sure. And a lot of times we're doing things that aren't really meeting the core hunger or the core needs. So now's the time to really ask the question and try on some new things and be gentle, be gentle, be gentle. Yeah, on each other. Too.
Yes, that for me has been such a big part of this is a moment as a society to accept that we are all doing our best. Everyone is trying. We are all unmoored. And we're all trying to find a footing that, if I come back to a word you used before, foundation, right? So if we lift up and look down at ourselves without judgment and use a little bit of compassion towards ourselves and towards others, what we find for the path forward could be radically different.
Bringing compassion to ourselves and to ourselves in our immediate circles, but beyond, would radically change the world. I mean, you don't even have to think about the declining greenhouse gases or the new, you don't have to look at anything concrete in the world. If this experience creates a greater sense of interconnection, interdependency, I am just like that mother in Italy. I am just like that child in China. We are all equally vulnerable, all of us, and we are all going to have to make our way through this experience, both with our own resources and with each other.
You listen to the news and they're like, okay, we get it, young people who are healthy and have no underlying conditions. There is a good chance this will not make you very sick. And we have a crisis on our hands for people who are more vulnerable. We are all in this together. The choice each of us as individuals makes has a radiant impact on every other life. And that to me is something we've never had to learn so directly as a society, not in my lifetime. We've never had a moment where we're like, okay, my choices in my home, my choices in the way I open my door, the store I frequent, all of those choices have an impact on all these other lives. And I find that just profoundly beautiful and inspiring. And when I think about the lasting impact of that mindset being embedded into my little girls, I'm like, there will be so much sadness and so much loss and so much difficulty that comes out of this time. And that is something I am really glad we are forced to learn.
It's the lesson that we needed at the time when we needed it. And no great transformation, change, growth comes without sacrifice and loss. Just doesn't. I mean, that's why stasis is so comfortable, is just but it's flat, stasis is flat. And we, the globe world has been declining, or at least the trajectories have been going like, we're going up, we're going down, whatever. And so I don't know, there is a moment now, and you can feel it. I think everybody can feel it. And yes, sometimes the fear takes over, the anxiety takes over, and the uncertainty, and there's really real challenges, absolutely. And I mean, yeah.
All right, I'm going to do my best to recap what we've covered here, Kyia.
Okay.
All right. So we can't live up without change, first and foremost. And loss and disruption create the space for that change and that growth, and the moment to take a more overarching, broader view and make choices. And then there was this beautiful message in here about paying attention to the gifts, the opportunities, and that where our attention goes is where our perception will go. And the other big influence, as a third point, is that our surroundings are influencing our reactions. And I will say personally, one of the big reasons that I wanted to do this project was for that reason. I wanted to spend time with the people who inspire me and to make that a part of my habits. That every week I had a moment carved out to spend with these people. And so I think that to me just feels like something we can actively choose to do in our lives. Totally. And then fourth, our responses, and I think this is so important that you bring this up, our responses are influencing our surroundings. So how we're processing this stuff is influencing how the others, and so it is this beautiful circle. And we have a lot of choice in that. This moment is not happening to us. We are empowered, we are powerful, we are impacting and influencing it. And so if we are gentle with ourselves, we can be more gentle with others, and we can create that circle in a way that lets this moment be one of growth, fulfillment, opportunity, as opposed to sucking us down a drain.
Yeah.
You are a gift to me. I really can't believe my good fortune that I get to know you. Thank you for this time. Thank you for this conversation. My day will be richer. My perception is shifted. And. Thank you, my friend.
Well, blessings to you to be bringing these messages and this work forward, and your brightness and your curiosity and your spirit is precisely what we need now. And I love the idea of you sending these seeds. You know, I just see the little dandelion seeds of your little magical conversations floating out into the world and sort of seeding the new world that is coming, that we're
beautiful
creating.
A beautiful image. Thank you, my friend. Have a wonderful
Okay, you too. Bye.